Part 3, the campaign of Armageddon, the sequence of events. Scripture does not give great detail concerning the sequence of events during the campaign of Armageddon. Most of the passages concerning this time are sprinkled in various prophetic passages which combine both a near-term and a far-future reference. This complicates matters for the interpreter because he must determine which portions of the passage are clearly fulfilled in historic events near the time of the prophet, and whether those portions of the passage speak down the corridor of prophetic vision to the time of the end, remaining yet unfulfilled. In some cases, such as the final and complete destruction of Babylon, it is not too difficult to see that the aspects of the destruction described by the prophets have not yet come to pass. In other cases, things are more complex. Because of these difficulties, we should approach any proposal concerning the sequence of events with caution and with an open mind. There are a number of theories as to the events in the campaign of Armageddon. Number 1, Armageddon will be a conflict between the Roman Empire and the Northern Confederacy. Number 2, it'll be a conflict between the Roman Empire and the kings of the East, or the Asian powers. Number 3, Armageddon will be a conflict between all nations and God. Number 4, it'll be a conflict between 4 great world powers. Number 5, it'll be a conflict between the Roman Empire, Russia, and the Asian powers. Number 6, it will exclude Russia, but will take place between the Roman, Eastern, and Northern powers, which will exclude Russia based on the theory that Ezekiel 38 and 39 take place in the millennium. And number 7, Russia is the only aggressor at Armageddon, based on the theory that there will be no revived form of a Roman Empire. One can see what a wide divergence of opinions there are as to the chronology of events in this campaign. Arnold Fruchtenbaum suggests a sequence of events as follows. And I'll put up this map here for you guys to see. Number 1 would be the assembling of the allies of the Antichrist. When the 6th bowl is poured out, the Euphrates River is dried up, and the kings of the earth are gathered to the valley of Jezreel, according to Revelation 16 and Joel 3. Number 2, the destruction of Babylon. Babylon is rebuilt on the banks of the Euphrates to become the world economic capital. While the Antichrist is away at Megiddo, Babylon undergoes catastrophic destruction. Number 3, the fall of Jerusalem. The Antichrist receives news that his capital city has been destroyed and moves south against Jerusalem. The Jews will put up a mighty defense, but Jerusalem will eventually fall, according to Zechariah 14, verse 2. Number 4, the armies of the Antichrist at Bozrah. The Jewish remnant flees to the mountains, according to Matthew 24, verse 15, and then to the wilderness in Edom. The armies under Antichrist will move against the Jews in Bozrah, according to Micah 2, verse 12. Number 5, the national regeneration of Israel. The Jews confess their national sin, the rejection and crucifixion of the Messiah Jesus. Then they plead for his return. Number 6, the second coming of a Messiah. Christ returns to Bozrah, where the remnant have been preserved. Number 7, the battle from Bozrah to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Christ fights the forces of Antichrist from Bozrah, continuing all the way back to the eastern walls of Jerusalem, which overlook a section of the Kidron Valley, also known as the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Antichrist is then destroyed, according to Joel chapter 3, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 8, and Zechariah 14, 12 through 15. Revelation 14, 19 through 20. And number 8, the victory ascent up to the Mount of Olives. This is not the initial return of Christ, for he will save the tents of Judah first, nor will his initial return be the same place as he ascended, the Mount of Olives, but merely in the same manner. His ascent to the mount is attended by the cataclysmic events associated with the 7th bowl judgment. Now, Dwight Pentecost suggests a less detailed sequence of events as follows. Number 1, The covenant with Antichrist. The prince of the Roman Empire, the Antichrist, makes a covenant with Israel for a 7-year period according to Daniel 9:26 and 27. Although this covenant is broken 3.5 years later. Number 2 is the invasion of Palestine. The king of the north and the king of the south will invade Palestine according to Daniel 11 verse 40. Number 3, the Antichrist responds. Because of his covenant with Israel, the Antichrist will come to Israel's defense. Number 4, news from east and north. News from the east and the north troubles the Antichrist. Perhaps it is the approach of the kings of the east, according to Revelation 16. The troubling news may be the destruction of Babylon, although Dwight Pentecost does not mention this. Number 5, the headquarters in Palestine. The Antichrist moves his headquarters into the land of Palestine and assembles his armies there, according to Daniel 11, verse 45. Number 6, Christ returns. Before he can engage the kings from the east, Christ will return. All the armies combined to fight against God, according to Revelation 19, verse 19. Number 7, Antichrist and armies are overthrown. The armies and the Antichrist are destroyed without human means. And that concludes our campaign of Armageddon sequence of events.